So therapy? Yeah, yes or no?
Yes,
Um, yes, 100%.
100%. It's
Have
needed.
have either of you been?
I have not been. I've been definitely coping through like my art and my music, but I've been looking into it myself. And with this foundation that I've created, we're looking to provide that to our Black communities and immigrant communities ourselves. So in a sense, like I can't, tell people to do something and not do it myself. So I'm
Right.
looking to getting therapy while providing for my peers.
Are you nervous about doing that? Because it's, you have to be really vulnerable in that. And everything in America, in our society, in our community tells Black folks to not be vulnerable. That's weakness, right?
Right. Man, I definitely can agree with that. They tell you not to be vulnerable and to hold everything in, but I put off therapy for a long time, and I just experienced it like not too long ago, and I highly recommend it. And that was one of the reasons why I started my organization, Free to Joy, which is geared towards getting mental health programs for the youth for free.
That's
But I
beautiful.
think yeah, I'll chime in on that later, but it's just really, I feel like it starts with you knowing that it's okay to get therapy and understand that it's good for you at a young age, because we don't know that or understand it until we're older, until we get to a certain point where a lot of things could have been avoided or even segued into a better life if we would have taken advantage of it at an earlier age. I wish I would have taken advantage of it in my high school years, but I'm about to be 30, and I'm fresh into it. So I wish I would. That's definitely something I want to teach younger generation to definitely seek and look into it. Young black men and Black women, especially uh, going into their life. That it's better to do it early. I feel personally.
Well, no regrets, right? Because
No.
it really didn't seem like it was even the environment for a lot of people to feel safe to even do it without the judgment,
Yeah.
right?
Well,
It's
times have
Absolutely.
changed. Times have truly changed now. We got social media. People are talking about it. Like back when I was growing up in my teenage years, internet wasn't really a thing. Nobody's really sharing like that. The internet is still relatively new. Now we've got these social media platforms where we have so much knowledge and more information out there to even seek the right therapist. That was my problem. I didn't want some white lady telling me, "Hey, here's your problem. You can't identify with me."
Mhm.
So why would I go and pay money to hear you tell me about XYZ when you have no idea where my roots of where I come from? As Miss Shonda would say, my um, the generational trauma. So it goes a lot deeper than just having issues, in my opinion.
Which
Yeah,
brings
I
us to
agree
the
with
next
you.
comment from our viewers. Coco Barbie says, please ask, are there any tips for choosing a therapist? Because that's going to be tough, right? Like you got to really be comfortable with who you're going to be pouring out your heart and soul to.
Absolutely. I mean,
Right.
I think Roderick might have touched upon that well, like, somebody who can actually relate and knows about the generational trauma. Like he said, as a Black man having a white lady. And it's funny he said that because, like, if you think therapist, like, that's what pops up
Yeah.
in your head is this white lady sitting there with a like clipboard. But I think finding somebody that can understand, and I'm sure Dr. Shonda can elaborate on this more. I think somebody who can relate to you would be the best decision for me. At least that's what I would think.
Doctor?
Yeah, I would say that often is the stereotype when people come to therapy. Like when people come to my office for the first time, well, through telehealth, they're like, "You're the doctor," and it's just the reaction is just really telling of what people view as like therapists. And I think Broderick, you brought up an excellent point where you said, I don't. One thing that inhibited me from help seeking was basically not being able to connect with the therapist who didn't look like me. And that's something that so often keeps people in the Black community from seeking therapy, because there aren't many Black therapists out there. So you really have to know where to look. But I would encourage you, I can share my information regarding my app. I have a Black therapist directory there. And
Awesome.
additionally, so like so I'm more than willing to share that information with you all.
Me
And
too.
so, when you do find a therapist, make sure that you're asking questions about their views on, how has, cultural and diversity, their views on culture and diversity and what that looks like to them. How how has that impacted the Black community? Like, what are your thoughts on that? And not being afraid to ask these questions, because if you're going to be sharing some vulnerable information with this person, you want to make sure that they can relate to you and that they're able to see you.
Exactly.
What's a good amount of time? Is there a good amount of time, like a minimum someone should spend in therapy? Or is it just like, could you get something out of a few sessions? I mean, it was something that should just, once you start, it's ongoing. Like, what do you think about the time that you should really invest in it?
So it's contingent on the individual, the things that they're wanting to work out in therapy, their treatment goals. So you might have one individual who might benefit from 12 to 16 sessions. Another individual might still want to be in therapy for a year. So it's all up to that individual and what they're seeking from therapy.
We have another viewer question, a comment. Bo L says, you have to find a therapist you connect with. Just because they are a Black therapist doesn't mean you will connect with them.
I agree.
That's true.
That's true too.
100% agree.
And I think within our community is another big part of it too, is, financially being able to afford a therapist. And I think a lot of Black communities, a lot of people in Black communities, they feel like, without having health insurance, so on and so forth, that's something they can't even fathom to think about looking toward. Because it's like, if I don't have this health insurance and I can only worry about just in case something happens to me, I got to save my money for that. I can't, quote unquote, waste it on therapy. That's kind of like something that's a big part of it as well. So like Roderick himself is doing, my nonprofit SAFE is focused on providing that and helping, find ways to make it easier for us to feel comfortable doing so financially, even like on top of that,
That and the accessibility to it. Yeah, man. So yeah, 100%.